What's up, everybody? Another 2.25 mile run today. I got out here a little earlier than I have been lately, so the sun's beating my face right now. As you can tell, squinting a little between that and the sweat in my eyes, but went well. My legs are definitely fatigued from running every day for the last about 2 weeks now, and yeah, I mean it's a good feeling, but it's definitely pushes you, especially towards the end of my runs here. That last quarter mile that I added is directly uphill, and I made it that way for a reason. Before my run started at so we'll call it point A. Now I moved it back, probably close to a quarter mile, probably like 0.15 miles. That way that the end of my run here is all uphill, because I think what builds character is, the hardest thing that you have to do being when you're not fresh, being when you're already exhausted, when you've already put in work, your legs are already getting fatigued, and having to push through that last bit, that is the most difficult part, not only mentally but physically. So to me, that's something I enjoy it. I know a lot of people probably think that's weird, but I think that's where you see progress. Good stuff. So got that going. Something I've been thinking about today and lately, always, something I've always preached to myself, was I remember when I was younger and getting out of high school and not knowing what the hell I really wanted to do. I was so set on the idea of not going to college. For me, it was college was for suckers, and I felt like I was smarter than people, and I didn't want to have to go there and spend all the money when I felt like I could be successful without it. And I think that works for some people. It works for me, interestingly enough, but I have gone to college, so I'll back up and start from where I was talking. But I think the most important thing is in life, I know the feeling of coming out of school, and it was like everybody felt like they had to figure it out right away, especially when you saw your friends going to school. At least they had 4 years to do school and then figure it out. But if you didn't go to school, you kind of felt like you had to get a job right away, and you had to do something. You couldn't just sit around. So that's what I did. And I worked for this pump company for a little while, and it was a great company. I started as like a mechanic and learning the trade that way, and eventually got offered an inside job in sales. And for me, I was always the kind of person who had to be outside, I had to be moving, I had to be doing physical work, because for me, I hated sitting around. I just hated it. I couldn't do it. It was something that I despised. So I tried to do it though, because I was like, okay, this could be a career for me long term. I could do really well with this, and just a short period of time into it, I was like, there's no way, I can't imagine myself doing this long term, let alone with the way I'm feeling right now. I would be dozing off during trainings and stuff. Like I wasn't interested enough, part one, and then two, it's not my thing, it wasn't something that I was well adapted to. Could I have gotten good at it? Sure. But I didn't have an interest, and I feel like that's half the battle right there. If you're not interested in something, you're probably not going to do well with it, because you're not going to care. You're not going to have a passion for it. So that's what I did then. And then I went from job to job for a while. I worked at a cigar place for a while. I worked at, I had many jobs, many different things that I wanted to do. But then eventually I got in at a local airport. I worked there for about 3 or 4 years. I worked at a Family Dollar as a manager for like a year, not even. And, but I went to school. I changed majors. I started in school as an automotive tech major, which was a 2-year program. I left that after like the first semester. I went in as, I changed my major to teaching. I changed my major again to, goodness gracious, I gotta think about this. I did a lot of different things. I've most recently, my major in school was psychology, and I have enough credits for a degree, but I never figured out what I wanted to get my degree in. And, I went to school for a long time, still have no degree, and I'm not ashamed of that. I held a very high GPA. I did all the work that I had to do always. I was a dean's list every semester I was in school. I'm part of PTK, which is just basically a high standard honor roll club, whatever you want to call it, but you have to be invited to be into it. And, so I know I have the accolades to show that I'm intelligent or can do work if I want to, if I'm interested. I just, I would do school and I'd do really well at it, and then I would just get uninterested in things, and I would pick up new interests. But, now I've also opened up my own business, landscaping company 3 years ago. And I probably would have never done something like that if it wasn't for some of the other people I've met in the industry. I worked with a friend of mine for a while, Dane Hooven, who has a very successful company. And if it wasn't for him, I probably would have never done anything like that. But I just got the itch to do it and was really interested and jumped into it. And, regardless, I don't really do much with that anymore. It became a hustle for me and wasn't something that I really wanted to do long term. So, but now I have a family business with my father. He started it about 7 years ago, I think. And he had been doing towing his whole life. And now I do that with him. So, and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do, as far as to keep myself busy, to keep myself interested in something. But, you got that. And I guess moral of the story is that part of figuring out where you're going, what you're doing, where you want to end up, where you want to be, is figuring out what didn't work, what you weren't successful in, or what you're not interested in. And that's part of the path. Part of becoming who you are is, most people don't know right off the bat. I know people who went to college because they thought they had it all figured out what they wanted to do with the rest of their life, and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they don't even really want to work in the field that they're in, because they just lost interest there, or it wasn't what they thought it was going to be. Or, there's so much that goes into life like that. And I'm not saying that's everybody. I think if you want to go to college, you should. You should follow whatever it is that you want to do. But I knew for myself that it wasn't something that I was going to figure out right away. And I needed to go through things and see what I didn't like before I found the things that I truly do like. And for some people, that'll be a very fast process. But for others, it'll take, it could take a long time. And I think part of it has to do with if you immerse yourself in these things or not. If you kind of just stay hung up at a place you don't even want to be for a long time and just stay for the paycheck, or stay because you got, trapped and you need the money or whatever it may be. I've been fortunate to not have to, ever worry about a roof over my head. My parents have always made it possible for me to to live with them in one way or another if need be. And regardless of that, though, it's always possible. It's always possible to dive into new things, to figure out what it is that you like, even if you're doing something that you don't like. I know for others it'll be easy, for others it'll be harder, but it's always possible. So, and to me, that was one of the most important things for myself. So I think it's a good point, and it's something that might hit home for some people. And just know that, when you're out of high school, or you're even after you graduate college, you don't need to have it totally figured out yet. You're young, you got time. Use that time to figure out. Maybe you get lucky and that first job will be a blessing, and you'll fit right in and everything will be perfect. But for most people, that it doesn't work that way. So just you got to shoot. You got to just give it a chance, give things chances, and don't stick around too long if you know it's not a good fit. You know, move on to the next thing and find what works for you, because at the end of the day, you get one life to live, so you don't want to waste it doing some junky crap that you don't even enjoy. Or let alone, you know, you wake up at 6 a.m. every day and you just groan and moan about the idea of having to get out of bed and go do whatever it is you got to do. And, you know, we all have those days, but you don't want that to be every day of your life. That's just demoralizing. So, whew. Good stuff. So, in other news, I saw Bernie Sanders dropped out of the running for presidential election. So, it's looking to shape up as a Joe Biden versus Donald Trump election coming this year in the United States. So, that ought to be interesting. I won't dive too deep into that. What else do we got? As you guys know, I don't know if you saw pretty late in my last video, I mentioned the Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje fight on the 18th, praying that will come to fruition and that we will get to see that. Who knows though? You never know. But hey, kudos to Dana if he can get it done. What else do we got out there, guys? Coming up at almost 12 minutes of this walking video, so I'm gonna wrap it up, I guess. And I got some things in the works of getting some people on and doing Skype style videos unfortunately during this pandemic. That's the only way I'm going to be able to do this. I don't want to risk, you know, interaction with people, bringing people to my area or vice versa to do a podcast in person. It's just too risky during this climate. I'd rather just do it over Skype, and but still be able to give you guys something, you know, a little different than just these run videos. So I have something in the works, so I'll be, you know, hopefully that will be coming up soon. But I will be, you know, I'll let you guys know obviously, and it'll be posted as soon as it's done. So stay safe, guys. Wear your masks if you go out. And just be smart. And I'll leave you with that. Adios.